Welcome to another episode of Womoney Matters. I'm really thrilled to introduce you to someone that I've had the pleasure of working with, but someone I think all of y'all should learn a lot from, just like I'm learning from her. Please welcome Puja D'Souza. Puja is the head of HR at Edelweiss Alternatives and also at Asset Reconstruction Company. Puja has over 15 years at Edelweiss and has actually been in the C-suite for more than about 12-13 years now, right? So welcome, Puja. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this, and please tell us about your journey,
So thank you, Aarti, for having me over. I think it's pleasure is mine too, that I am able to connect with so many people who will listen to me after this and share some of my learnings about life, how I have come where I have come. So I belong to a small town called Byawar in Rajasthan. It's a very small place. I grew up there, studied there, moved out of the city to study for further studies. We didn't have more than 10 standard in CBSE board in those days, so stayed away from my parents. So I'm out of my house practically from the age of 15 all by myself. Moved to another city, Jodhpur, for my further studies and graduation, and from there I had a dream that I would ultimately go and build my career at my own pace and cost, and not further studies will not be at my parents' money anymore. So like every people dream in Hindi movies of coming to a city, I dreamt of coming to Mumbai, and I convinced my parents to send me alone with very few relatives here there, but all my own. So came to Mumbai, stayed with them, searched a job, and my first job was a telecaller, which I got in Standard Chartered Bank. Not on the payrolls of the bank, but as a DSA. And I started selling personal loans, auto loans to the leads which I would get. Very early, within 5 days, I learned to change 3 trains and got into
oh my God.
So I used to travel from Navi Mumbai, so Navi Mumbai to Kurla, Kurla to again Lower Parel, 3 trains, travel time. Everything which I was not used to suddenly came to me at the age of 21. So I was only 21 when I moved into Mumbai. But it was an experience. I stayed and I just stayed focused of doing something in life, because my focus was to make my parents feel proud about the decision they have taken of sending me. So I think that's been my journey. From there, I moved to HDFC Bank. So from Standard Chartered, I came on the payrolls of the bank with my hard work and effort. That got recognized. I had only one dream, that I will just do, because I knew I didn't have any MBA or a professional qualification with me. I didn't want it to feel that I am any lower than anybody else who has a professional qualification and compete in the same space. I just gave a little bit more effort on to cover up for that in terms of my sincerity and hard work. I moved to HDFC Bank. I did sales there, hardcore sales, pitching wealth products to the client, getting them meet their investment objective. And I think that's where I also learned that investing is an art. It's a very important part of your life, and you need to start putting in your money to grow, right? It will not grow automatically.
Correct.
And that is where I think my journey of force saving and putting them into investment started for myself, because I was selling mutual funds to customer, I was selling equity. So I opened my own trading account. I took some trading bets just on the call that, and I think I lost money. And whatever I earned from my incentive and sales, I made my house, and I lost that again back in the. So it was an even Steven game. Of course, my husband was also an equity enthusiast, so both of us took some bets and some tips which we would hear, and then just buy the stocks. So yeah, from there I moved to another company, because I felt that sales is something which I can do. But the lie part of sales, which comes naturally because you're forced to sell a product in a particular area, is what something I couldn't reconcile with. So we were forced to sell sometimes, let's say, equity product to a 70-year-old guy who has all his money lying in FD and saying FD break kar do aur yahan dao. That is something which I could do, ever do, because I knew it was a hard-earned money, and it's not right on my part to tell them lies that this money will grow faster when I know that they may not be able to remove it or they may lose the money. That's why my disconnect with wealth sales started. And I started realizing that I'm able to win a customer by giving him an excellent service. And that's what I did for my bank clients. I moved to a servicing role in ASK Raymond James, then and now Ask Wealth Advisors, where I learned everything because we were just a small family setup. It was a boutique setup, so there was no KRA. We just learned everything. I was just a sales support. I was helping people. I was putting data together. I learned to operate the software called Miles, which never everybody thought that they should not touch it because it's not my job. So never in my life I took up anything to say this is not my job. I just thought everything what comes my way is my job because I'm going to learn something out of this opportunity.
Right.
So I learned system, I learned this CRM, Talisma, I implemented a system. I had never done this in the past. They just told me we need somebody and I said I'll do it. And I used to have hours and we were going around. My husband used to wait outside the office for hours for me to finish. But he always supported me. So my biggest support is him, who always guided me and told me that nothing is big or small as work. What others don't want to do, you please do, because that's where you will learn and do well. Because it's very easy to say no to things and at early stage of your career. And at later stage, you taught me how to say no also to certain things. So I'm grateful to him for that, being a mentor and guide to me. Yes, I moved on and then I joined Edelweiss. My ex-boss joined Edelweiss and I joined Edelweiss. And from there, the journey has been wonderful. I think I've got addicted to the culture this organization brings and the kind of growth this organization has provided me. I think I've grown in my personal and professional life both. I joined Edelweiss when I was just married. I got blessed with 2 daughters while staying in Edelweiss, and I've seen various roles in Edelweiss which I've played.
As a small town girl, right, someone who came with dreams in her eyes, so to say, did the culture of a big city or the culture of a big organization ever feel intimidating? Like, while the work is something that you could reconcile yourself with, culturally it would have been a huge change also, right? Is that something that you found a challenge?
No. I think when you start loving something, you just get adapted to everything. So I never compared, and I think as an individual I have no habit of comparison. That I don't compare two things, that oh, this was good and this is not so good, or that was very bad and this is good. Because if you don't have a comparison, then wherever you are enjoying what you're doing and you do not have a reference point of comparison to say I'm not adjusting or this culture is different, because I am in that culture and I'm enjoying everything what I'm doing.
So it's like live in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, so one question that I think is very important for me to address is your journey from being a COO at such a young age in very client-facing, very business roles, to coming to HR, because that is what you've been doing for the last few years. Tell us about that journey, Puja.
So I think yes, I was the youngest CEO in Edelweiss when I was nominated way back in 2008, and the only women CEO at that point in time. And I was competing with a lot of grey hair in the same room, but I was only looking forward to learn from them, that what do they do and what I need to implement. And I am grateful that the organization saw that spark and they believe that I can play that role. So I did play that role in different formats. Had to leave the role for some time because I was blessed with my first daughter and the CEO's position couldn't be left empty. So when I joined back as a project manager, and again after some time, I could take up that role again when my bosses felt that she is suitable and she can take up. The whole management changed, so I had to reprove to the new management that I am capable of this role. I'll start as a project manager and I'll move into the new the new role. So I did that, and I think 2014-15 is where a decision point came for me, saying from a holistic view to a niche view to something which we want to very closely build as a brand build for this organization was customer experience. So I was part of the whole strategy group which was formed along with Rashesh to define what would be customer experience for us. And Suno Samjo Suljhao is the logo we created along with Rashesh. So I was part of the group where Rashesh was the small cohort, and we presented to him, and that ultimately became the logo for our customers.
For those who don't know, Rashesh is one of the founders of Edelweiss.
He is the founder and chairman for Edelweiss. So we worked with him, and then I took it up to say that I will create a niche in this industry to build a customer experience office, and we are the first one in the financial services to call our customer experience officers as CXOs. And we made them believe that you are equally powered like any other CXO, so that you can do work in interest of clients and not just the organization. Step into client shoes and understand what are they facing, what are the challenges they're facing. And meanwhile, I got blessed with my second baby, and that's where the choice to grow, to give equal attention or more or less came for me. And I knew that with 2 daughters, I will need to give time at home, and I can't just be only focusing on career, right? And it's a choice everybody can exercise depending upon their aspiration. I made a choice to have a slighter more tilt towards family versus just profession, because it was very important for me to bring them up in that environment, and the time I need to devote to them being a mother. So there was an opportunity available as head of HR for EARC. My boss had faith and conviction in me. I asked him, I've never done HR, why do you think I will be able to do well? And he said, you are a people's person, your people scores are always good in your 360 degrees, so I think you should be able to do well, and you've done sales, so you can sell the organization well right to the candidates. Let's try it. I said, okay. And with my pregnancy, from coming from a 250 member team with 10 office boys running for me, at one phone call, people delivering stuff, to coming to an individual contributor role in pregnancy, going and delivering one CV at the doorstep of a person who's supposed to take interview at my level, because I still started, I had no team. So I was the only head without tail, let me put it like that, as a startup in EARC. So from a 40 member team, we are now close to 170 over past 5-7 years is what we have built. And other businesses came along when I started doing well in terms of my profile. But it was a great learning from me to say that when you are alone, so everything changed for me in that year, right? From a leader and a manager, I became an individual contributor. I had to do things on my own. I was also going to become a mother, and then I was also new to the function, right? So everything is new.
Yeah.
Second time mother, new to function. For a very long period, I always had people reporting into me from 2006, and suddenly in 2015, I have nobody reporting to me. So you're so used to people working for you, giving instruction, and then you have to start from scratch, learn the system, learn everything. But I decided to do that because I wanted to learn from scratch HR again. How are the systems built? What is the process? And every time I bought only one mindset: what can I do to bring out the change in current process, which will change people's experience?
That's mind-blowing, because it's not just that you've gone from strength to strength, but you've also chosen to go back to scratch and learn all over again, right? So tell me, Puja, what was the journey? Now clearly, having sold a lot of investment products and everything, you would have had some inclination towards investing yourself. So tell me about that journey. While your career journey is one thing, your investment journey, or how you've dealt with that learning curve.
Sure. So I must admit, Aarti, that I am a shopaholic like others, and I used to spend a lot of money. But somewhere around when I became a banker, and when I realized that somewhere I'll have to start force investing, and that's why I discussed with my husband, and we were not married then. But we opened our trading accounts in early days, and we just started trading and trying out straight away with equity, not even with mutual funds. And I realized that you have to save, you have to invest. Not only save, but also invest. First, consciously saving has to come as a choice too. It is no option, it has to come. And small ways of saving, I think very easily I would choose that out of 5 times if we were eating out, we just consciously cut down and said, out of 5 times, we will now eat only 3 times out. And those 2 times what we're not eating out, we will again put that into an investment. So put it in saving and then put it in investment. So not going with just the flow or the society pressure, just because you're growing in designation. Actually, I never grew with society pressure of wearing expensive stuff. or taking expensive, because I'm at such a position, I should get an expensive car and I should travel by an expensive car. Otherwise people will say the CEO, she's a CEO and she's traveling by train and she's traveling by bus, because I felt that was more convenient for me, and reaching early was my only objective with my kids and not getting stuck with the traffic. So I never allowed the social pressure to build on me from day one of what the world wants me to be seen as versus what I want to be seen as. So obviously when you stop eating out much, you don't enjoy the food, because then you start associating a price. And my husband is a great cook, so that obviously a big part of my food love comes from him. He cooks good food and we save a lot. And he has helped me to just say, is this month very important for you to spend this much, or you can prolong it for next month, right? And if yes, next month, then put that money this month in investment, so that on that 100 rupees you made 20, and now your ability to spend 120 is higher.
One thing that I think, I can say is that you've held on to your mental strength, right? Because to say that you will not give in to peer pressure, you will not give in to societal expectations, right? How does that play out? Because see, while you're saying that it's something you've done consciously, don't you ever see the other side of it? Like, because you're not giving into that societal pressure, and as a woman in the public eye, in a certain office, that expectation is always there to maintain, a certain standard, to appear in certain brands. All of those things are there, and that is something that when you work in larger organizations becomes even more. I think it's constantly in the air.
Yeah.
How do you cope with that? Because I don't think it's easy for every woman to do that.
No, it's not easy. It's a conscious choice, because if you believe in yourself, right, and if you believe that what you bring to table is an inner self which is delivering, and not the outer clothing or not the outer jewelry which you're wearing, or not the social. So you're not doing anything to please somebody. Actually, you're doing everything to please yourself. And when you're doing everything to please yourself, to be yourself, I think it just comes naturally. Because how much ever you will compare today with somebody else and tomorrow with somebody else, and you will find that this person's sari is much beautiful than that one's sari. So will you go and buy that sari, and the desires will never stop, right? Because so I personally believe comparison is a killer. The more you will compare, people say it's a competitive spirit. You have to apply competitive spirit with yourself first than anybody else. Have you been a better version of yourself than last time? Have you really grown in what you have done wrong, and have you changed yourself? That's my true belief, because there is no end. I mean, people can compare themselves. Why not an Ambani? Why should I only compare myself to you? Why should I not compare myself to Neela Ambani and sulk and saying why I don't have in life what she has? But I don't look like that, right?
Absolutely.
Right? And she may be carrying a 2 crores bag, but I don't need, because I know I will travel and somebody will take it away. I do not have a car. Right? So then my desires are limited, and it's my environment, right? And it is a mental state of mind. The more you reconcile that ultimately it is also being a spiritual being, how much close you are to God. So all of that comes in a play, right? If you are closer to God, you start going away from materialistic world, and it doesn't really matter. Okay, you have to be presentable. You can't, if you're in a position, you can't be not presentable to people whom you're dealing with. But being presentable versus spending too much because somebody has something, and now in that next party you have to wear, because last party you wore the same earrings, and in the next party if they will comment about your earrings, she's wearing the same earring. If that makes you feel sad and spend another some money, to me it's wrong, because you may not wear ever that earring and you just brought it in peer pressure.
Correct.
Or maybe you were not able to make that go to that party, and that something is lying.
That's really a fantastic way of looking at it, because I think increasingly one thing that it's not just about you and me, right? Even Gen Z right now is dealing with this thing that instead of looking inward, there's a lot of pressure with all of even the platforms that we are using, right? Whether it's Instagram, it's Facebook, there is so much about looking around you, right? That the brands, this peer pressure, the expectation of being in a certain way. And I think 3 key things that you're mentioning over here is that A, you need to think about what your value is in terms of who and what you are, what you bring to the table as an individual. Secondly, it is about being spiritual, about understanding that happiness doesn't come from material things. While yes, you do need money, you cannot be happy just by buying new things all the time. Thirdly, I think life is really unpredictable. Like you said, you may have planned a certain outfit for a party, and then one fine day it may be raining heavily, you may be unwell, something else may have happened, and you won't make it to that party. So between these three factors, if you can hang on to that much, your self-belief will not come from how much money you're spending.
Yeah.
Right? So tell me, Puja, self-belief also, gets affected by a lot of the things that we do, right? Like, if you move from a COO's role to being head of HR, in a still nascent organization, it must have come with a pay cut also, right? Did that affect your self-worth?
It didn't come with a pay cut, but I grew slower than if I in that role in terms of compensation or in terms of designation. But it was aligned to my end objective to say I want to make a difference in people's life. That's what I want to do. So when I was in a customer facing role, I was making a difference in customers' life. When I came into an HR role, I was making a difference in people's life. Okay. And again, if you are able to reconcile with yourself saying how much enough is enough for you, right? It really doesn't matter, because again, there is no comparison. I mean, if I can compare myself to a CHRO of a Unilever versus a CHRO of a startup, right? All three of us are CHROs, different pay grade and different role. Where
that's the hardest question of all, right? That how much is enough? Now, if I were someone who's joining an organization and if you told me that this is the pay you're being offered, I may check with peers, that people with my kind of experience, with my kind of background in terms of education, what they are getting paid. But how does one make a decision that, and the thing is, I don't know if this is something you deal with, often in HR, people are not open with numbers. So nobody will tell you that at your level, this is what you should be getting paid. So how do you reconcile yourself to that this is fair or this is right for me?
How much money you need to be living a good life from your standard is what will become. What is your life standard? How much money you need, and are you able to save out of that? If no two individuals are same, if your two children are not same, if you and your brother sisters are not same, if your parents are not same, then how can you expect that everybody in the same role should get same salary? They will also get different, right? Because everybody gets judged for what you are, and a price tag gets attached to what you bring to table and the ability of the organization to pay, right?
Absolutely.
So other CHROs are traveling the world. They're not able to give time to family. They are out on Saturday, Sundays, and they're getting paid maybe 4 times more or 3 times more. But I don't want to live that life, because for me, what is important is the balance of job satisfaction, able to spend time with my family, give them quality time, shut down from work when I reach home, and shut down completely, and only in case of emergency reach out, because when it's their time, it's their time, right?
This is a dichotomy that not only women but even men are beginning to face, because with how complicated all our lives are, right? And I can tell you this as a parent, that there is equal pressure on the father to pitch in. There is equal expectation these days that it's not just the mother, where both parents are working. Even if the mother is taking up a small job, there is equal pressure on the father to pitch in. So how do you tell people that, how do you find the balance? Because you are making certain choices, right? But people, not everyone is in that position to make those choices.
Everybody is in a position. Sorry. We don't want to make a choice. God has given wisdom for everybody to make a choice. I am choosing not to make a choice because I am always looking out for a better out of it. Can I make this better? Can I get a little extra out of my choice? And when I do that, I will have to compromise, which I'm not ready to do. So I'm stretching both sides. For me to hold something from you, you have to leave that. Right? So choice is always, nobody can say I don't have choices. Everybody has same choices. You and I have same choice. The ability to choose and give up is what will allow you. You will have to making choice means choosing something and giving up something. What you want to give up is again a choice. And that may not be important for you. So one of my ex-colleagues in Edelweiss, she was a retired lady, and I asked her once that, ma'am, how do you manage? How have you managed working in a government sector bank for so many years and doing and reaching this place as a recovery specialist? And she told me a wonderful thing, saying, Puja, as a working woman, we have balls which we have to juggle with. Ball of family, husband, in-laws, children, office, peer pressure, self-learning, all of that. And you'll keep doing it. one or the two balls will fall. You are not a perfect juggler. But if the same ball is falling again and again, then you need to focus, why is that ball falling and is that important ball for you? Or you should just drop it because it's just falling out of your hand. And then you realize that, okay, these are the balls I need to focus. And those are my choices. And there is nothing wrong or right. You can be a completely career-oriented woman. And you might say, I will just give as much as time I can give to family because I have an image of myself which I need to reach. And that is what will make me feel happy. Then you can't sulk later on saying, oh, I didn't do it. So never regret on your choices. Once you made the choice, you made the choice.
That is hard, right? Because I think one thing that recurrently I'm seeing, not just in working women, but even women who had to give up careers, right? A lot of women, and I'm sure you get a lot of resumes like this of women who've taken a break at maternity. It's something that you've worked around, I would say. But a lot of women struggle with this, that once you've taken that break at maternity, you're constantly questioning yourself, your self-worth. And that to me is one of those problems that as a society we need to be able to address. That if you're questioning your self-worth just because you had to give up, paid work to do something that is important for you as a member of a family or as a member of an establishment, how do you stop questioning that self-worth?
Why do you have to question it?
But there are women who are questioning it.
They are
right?
questioning it because they don't have self-belief.
So that's my question, that what can we do as a society to help restore that self-belief? Because the role of caretaker, of care provider is as important as someone who's working.
Right. So I think if we are talking about society, all of us are responsible, right? Whether it's the family, whether it's the friend circle, whether it's the office environment where she was working, I think all of us have to get that person out and say that this is a natural phenomena which has happened in your life because you're blessed by God to give birth and bring life on this earth. But that doesn't mean that your life will change completely now. It will have different meaning. And everybody has to contribute to that. So I think the husband is equally responsible. The office is equally responsible to give that woman that environment that she can join back and give the confidence. The society is responsible, the neighbors are responsible, the in-laws are responsible, because when does our self-belief go down? When we are unable to do something. When I am able to do something, I will bring my self-belief back. So yeah, I think when we say society, all of us have a role to play. When we have somebody who's taken a break from career, it's our job to encourage that person and guide that person that even if you're not able to do what you were doing in the past, that's not your benchmark. You can do anything what you like. Why do you work? Because it gives you confidence, it gives you self-independence, and it gives you the worth of investment you've done in your education and your parents have done to say, I am contributing back to the society, right? How are you contributing back is your choice. It is not necessary to go back in the same role and expect the same things to happen because you are not the same. When you started this journey, you were alone and then you got married and then you have a child. And then if you are different, then you can always take up different options. Why are you stuck in your head to take same option? And I think a big role in this is of husband. I think it's a very, very big role all spouses have to play, which they have to give confidence to the mother to say, do something what you really like to do, we will support you. Right? So whether it's job, whether it's business, you were doing a job but now you want to start, and we have so many women entrepreneurs now, right? How have they started? They were never entrepreneurs. After being mother, they just took a break and then they started something. All of them had the self-belief. Those who are not having the self-belief, they should find out mentors for them. You will connect with somebody. You should find a mentor in your life always who you can express by fear of getting judged, that if I tell this, what will the person think about me? Bounce off your doubts, bounce off your questions, consult and change your wiring the way you've been thinking. That will change it.
This is very powerful because I'll tell you the one big thing that we are not taught, right? No course in this world teaches us is to adapt, right? And like you said, change our wiring. When you change your wiring, it's not just about changing your wiring in terms of from worrying about your own self to worrying about another individual. But it's also about changing your wiring, that if I'm not the same, I cannot give the same kind of commitment to something, then I should not expect the same result out of it.
Yes.
And I think it's beautiful when you say that, people around us all matter, because the moment you take a smaller role or you take a different role, and let's say a pay cut, or without a pay cut, slower growth, like you said in your case, everybody is pushing you and saying that no, you deserve more. Nobody understands that if you're going to put in lesser time, lesser commitment, then you should be getting, proportionate remuneration or proportionate growth for it. But if you're not growing at that speed over here, it doesn't mean you're not growing at all, A. And B, you're still growing in a new domain, which is as a parent, as an individual. So these are all parts of your growth, right? And I think it's very important that you brought that focus on this matter, Puja, because like you said, the spouse's role is also very important. If you're single, you have your parents, you may be dating someone, whoever it is, but that partner or, whoever is a part of your life needs to be able to turn around and tell you that it's okay. I think we have to stop pitting consciously or subconsciously people against themselves itself. Yes. Right? So Puja, tell me, with all of these amazing ups and downs, right, what has been that one goal in your life that you have really worked towards and sort of consciously invested for? Like whether it is investing your time or it is investing your money, what is that one goal that has sort of kept you steady on your path?
I think my goal, which has kept me steady on my path, is to make a difference in people's life. That's what I really want to. When I leave this earth, people should be able to remember me, to say, this person did some contribution to my life, and that's my goal. So it has never been money, it has never been time. It has never been something which is not in my control. Neither time is in my control, nor money is in my control, nor anything else is in my control. What is in my control is my actions, and then God will give back in a reaction. So I just want to contribute to people's life, make a difference in their life, whichever way I can. That has kept me going.
There is so much more that I would love to discuss with you, but in the interest of time, I think, today my questions will more or less, have to stop over here. Thank you so much, Puja, for this beautiful session. I think there's so much that, each one of us can learn, especially women who are looking to go back into the workforce. We all need a change of perspective. We need to be able to stop validating ourselves in absolute numbers. And I'm not sure we can all stop comparing ourselves to others like Puja has. But even if we can cut back on that tendency 10, 20, 30%, we'll all be better and happier individuals. So thank you so much, Puja, for your time and for sharing your experiences.
Thank you, Aarti, for making this happen. I'm sure we'll all learn from each other.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.